Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I am your host and beat reporter, and today we are talking about the re-addition of Gus Bradley to the AFC South. It has been now reported by multiple sources that the Tennessee Titans will be hiring Gus Bradley as their defensive coordinator. Of course, Robert Saleh will call plays for the Tennessee Titans defense, so you're probably asking, why is this a big deal? Isn't it like Liam Cohen hiring an offense coordinator last year? And yeah, that's a acknowledged point. I won't disregard that. Saleh will obviously be the one pushing the buttons when it comes to their defense, but there's no two ways around it. Gus Bradley returning to the Jaguar schedule twice a year can only be a good thing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is truly meant as no disrespect to, Gus Bradley. I've talked to a lot of players from that era of Jaguars football. I didn't cover it. My first year covering the team was in 2019, a few years after Bradley's firing, the second to last year of the Doug Marrone era. But I've talked to players who have played for Gus. And up and down the list, to a T, they talk about what a great man he is, what a great friend he is, how much he still cares about them, how much they care about him. It's very, clear why he keeps, why he stayed in the NFL as long as he has. Judging by the reputation he has as a person, as a man, he sounds like one of the best pure people in the National Football League. And this isn't meant to minimize or mitigate that, because that's important. That's especially important in the role of a coach. With that said, this is the big leagues. This is the NFL. At the end of the day, it comes down to wins and losses and points. And Bradley, for as respected as he is around the NFL, and especially amongst players for the person that he is, his record as a defensive coordinator just is not very good. I mean, he had some glimpses there in the early days of the Legion of Boom in Seattle, but turns out that was about having multiple All-Pros and potential Hall of Famers more than anything else. And, of course, Pete Carroll was really, the brains behind that. And then, obviously, he has a stint in Jacksonville, almost 4 whole seasons. He didn't last, obviously. Had a very unsuccessful run as head coach. None of that to hold against him, but the one thing I think from his head coaching tenure that is still prevalent today, and why I thought it was rather surprising that the Arizona Cardinals seemed to be after him. Kyle Shanahan offenses. And I know Sean McVay had yet, to be coaching the Rams when Bradley was with the Jaguars. But obviously he's faced McVay offenses since then. The McVay, Shanahan-style offenses completely pick apart Gus Bradley defenses. And not even just those. I mean, Doug Peterson's offenses are much different from the McVay, Shanahan offenses. It's more West Coast, Andy Reid-style offenses. And Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, and Trevor Lawrence had a ton of success against Gus Bradley when he was with the Colts. I remember one time Doug Peterson was talking about Bradley before they played the Colts, and he said something along the lines, and he meant it as a compliment. It was no Liam and Robert Saleh, obviously. But he said, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but something along the lines of, one of the impressive things that Bradley does is how simplified he makes things. And that's really the key of it. Runs a really simple defense. He loves cover 3. He'll mix in some blitzes and stunts now and then. But more often than not, offenses have been able to find some success against Bradley defenses. He had not great defenses with Indianapolis. Their defense obviously improved last year. And you look back, I think his most relevant days as a defensive mind to the Jaguars are his 3 seasons with the Colts, 22, 23, and 24. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had been fantastic against the Colts. In pretty much every game he played against Gus Bradley. I think he has 13 total touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That's 9 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns, completed almost, I think it was like 79.9% of his passes, almost 1,200 yards. So, he has had a great run against Gus Bradley defenses. Some of Trevor Lawrence's best games he's ever played have came against the Gus Bradley defense. And I know. Robert Saleh is calling the plays for the Titans defense. I'm aware of that. I'm cognizant of it. I acknowledge that full-heartedly and completely. With that in mind, he's still going to play a big role. Grant Udinski is still important in Jacksonville. Matt Burke obviously calls the plays in Houston. It's different, but he's still important. You go really up and down the list, and you're seeing non-playing calling coordinators get head coach jobs all the time. Mike LaFleur just got one. So it's obviously a significant position, regardless of who's calling the plays. And you can even point to the fact that Robert Saleh called plays for the San Francisco defense last year when Gus Bradley was a top assistant. And Trevor Lawrence had a good game. His 5th best game by EPA per dropback last year. The box score stats won't amaze you, but he was very efficient, very effective. Had a good day. So while Saleh will obviously be calling the plays and be the face of that defense, I can't help but think that the Jaguars are getting a boost with this. The fact that Gus Bradley will be in such a prominent role with Tennessee suggests to me that his voice and messaging are so key and even similar to Robert Saleh and his vision for the 49ers and their defense that I'm not sure his scheme is going to be all that different. I'm not sure that what he's going to do defensively is going to be so dramatically opposite of what the Titans run and what they would run with Gus Bradley. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Robert Saleh has other reasons for wanting him there. Maybe, I'm just missing the mark completely. But I think if their defense ran by Saleh is anything similar to the scheme that Bradley has kind of peddled, for the last, how many? I'd say decade and a half, really, as a leading defensive mind in the NFL. Then I think that's a good thing for the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence has been absolutely unlocked against Gus Bradley style defenses over the years. Played pretty good against Saleh defenses when Saleh was coaching the Jets as well. So one way or another, I think it's a good thing for the Jaguars. No matter how you want to spin it. Again, I understand Saleh's the one calling the plays, but Bradley's clearly a big voice. And the success that Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars have had against Bradley and his style of defenses over the years, I just think cannot be ignored. So this is one of those instances that, what happens to a rival team has quite the impact and influence on the Jaguars. I think this is a good day for the Jaguars. I really think that if your entire thought is, can Saleh take the Titans out of AFC South irrelevancy and can they compete with the Jaguars quickly? I don't think this hire helps. I really don't. So remains to be seen, obviously, how that dynamic plays out. We obviously have a good idea of what they have in plan for the structure. But ultimately, I think for the Jaguars, this is a good thing. This is something that they can go into their matchups with Tennessee next year, and you can say where the Jaguars have an advantage. The Jaguars will have schematic advantages against the Tennessee Titans defense twice a year moving forward. And it's not exactly a change-up from the last couple of years, but that is the domino effect of the Tennessee Titans hiring Gus Bradley.